Hi, I'm Karen Montgomery, and this is the Quick Trim and Circle ruler in the XL size. This ruler has all the same properties as your regular Creative Grid rulers. It has the non-slip on the back, easy to read markings, and the extra ½ inch on the side. This ruler is 24.5 by 4.5 inches wide, and it's the big brother to the original Quick Trim ruler, which is 3.5 by 12.5 inches. Now, this ruler was designed so that you can trim your pieces without ever having to draw another line. Normally, when you would make a flying geese block, you would take your rectangle, and then it'll tell you to take a square and put it on the corner, and then draw a line on every single one of them, go sew those lines, and come back and trim the pieces off. If you'd like to make the flying geese block, all you have to do is take your piece, and I'm going to line this up for myself right here on the corner with my raw edges even. And one other little trick. This gray fabric that I have on the corners, that's a directional fabric. And I want the direction to run this way when I'm finished, so I'm putting it sideways on my piece so that when I flip this corner back, it'll be going the direction I want it to go. Now, the ruler itself has all of the regular markings as a normal ruler, and what we've added are these 45-degree angles lines that cross right at the 1/4 inch line. Now there's 2 of them, and they cross and create a little notch right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those lines, I'm going to turn my ruler this way, and I'm going to line it up so that one of the lines goes across the top of my rectangle and one goes down the side of my square. When it's lined up properly, the black dotted line will go from point to point. So now I can just take my rotary cutter, trim off the edge, and I'm ready to sew. And I can use the exact same seam guide that I use for every other seam in the quilt. So you can trim before you sew. So once I've stitched this on, my piece will look like this. So I've got one corner added. Now I'm ready to add the second piece. To add the second piece, I'm going to turn this vertically like this so that it's easy for me to see. Take my other piece, line up my raw edges, just like this, and then I'm going to take the ruler. And if you notice when I pick it up, I really don't have to look for those lines because they're on both sides of the ruler. There's a set right here and a set right here. And that's so that you don't ever have to search for them. They're right there where you need them. Now, we always want to use the ones that are on the top side. So I'm going to line that up again. This piece is going to go down the side right here. The little notch that's created where the lines cross, that's where the corner of my fabric sits. And the black dotted line, which is my 1/4 inch line, that's where I'm going to be sewing, sits right there from point to point. So now I can trim this off, and I'm ready to sew. When I've got this stitched on like this, it'll look just like this. Now, the Quick Trim ruler will do more than that. If you would like, you can use it to do half square triangles. So I've taken 2 pieces of fabric here. I have 2 pieces, and I'm going to line them up, and I'm ready to cut. Now, I've already cleaned up this end right here. So I've taken any ruler and any line on my ruler like this, line it up like that, and trim my end off. So I have a nice 90-degree corner there. I'm going to take the same lines that I have on my ruler right here, line them up so that the little notch is on the corner right here, and I can take my rotary cutter and trim this off. So now I have that piece that's ready to sew. Now your ruler has one black line on it, and that line starts 3/8 of an inch from the end of the ruler. So I can take that line and line it up along my angled cut right here, and I want the bottom where the 3/8 is at the bottom of my strip. So see, my strip is not as wide as my ruler. I want this bottom end down here like that. Take this and trim that. This piece and that piece are identical, and they're ready to sew. Now when I go to put them into my sewing machine, I want the point to go in first. That gives my feed dog something to grab onto. So I'll stitch right here, my needle will come out right there, and you'll be able to cut this entire strip just by taking your ruler and working on an angle, and then back straight, and then on an angle and back straight. And you'll have absolutely no waste. Normally, if you were to cut half square triangles from a strip, you would cut squares, draw that line, and then waste the other side of the triangle. With the Quick Trim ruler, there is no waste. You can also use your ruler to join binding strips or inner borders or any border that you want to join on a 45-degree angle. So in order to do that, first thing we're going to do is take our ruler and take any line on the ruler and line it up along the edge. And I'm going to slide this down a little bit so that I can cut my salvage edges off here. So we're going to cut that off like that. And then I can turn this like this. Now I've got that one line that goes down the side of the ruler, and my corner is sitting right in that little notch, and I can trim that off like that. Now these are pre-trimmed, and I've got a few strips here. So when I go to put them together, this piece will go like this, and this piece will go just like that. Now they're notched. You're going to sew from here. When you sew them together, they're going to be perfectly straight every single time. There's no guesswork. Normally, when you sew them together, you lay one like this and one like this, and then you find that mystery seam that's in here. With a quick trim ruler, there's no mystery. You can use this ruler for any 45-degree angle block in any book or pattern that you already own. So if I wanted to make a snowball block and clip my corners, I can take the corner of my block, take my square, and line it up just like this on the corner, and instead of drawing the line, I'll take the 45-degree angle and line it up again just like this. One line goes across the top, one line goes down the side, and the dotted line goes from point to point. So there's 3 checkpoints before I trim. Then I'm ready to trim this off, sew, and I'll have added all of my 4 corners to my snowball block. There's no need to add any different dimension. Any book or pattern that you already own, any 45-degree angle seam, you can just pre-trim and move on to the next step. There's even more magic built into the quick trim ruler because it has holes drilled down the center of it that allow you to draw circles. So in order to draw the circles, what I've done is I've taken a standard thumbtack. You don't want a push pin. You want a normal thumbtack with a flat head on it and a piece of tape. Just push the thumbtack right through the tape, and then I've taped it to my surface. So we've got that tape down right there. And then because the quick trim rulers have the non-slip on the back of them, that grid, what you want to do is flip it over because we do want to rotate the ruler. So we're going to work with it upside down. Now I'm going to take my fabric square, and I've folded it and found the center. So I've just done a little finger creasing there to figure out where the center is. So I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to spread it out, find my pin right there, and put it right through the center there. Now when you're drawing a big circle, it helps if you just take some tape and tape your corner down so that your fabric will stay in place. So I'll tape my corners down like this. And then you'll notice on the end of the quick trim ruler, there's a few little holes that are drilled right here that are pivot points. I'm going to take that very first pivot point and put it right over top of the pin. So it's right there. Now, if I wanted to draw a 22-inch circle, I can count 11 spaces away from here because these are inch increments. And then I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to put it in the space 11 inches away. And then in order to keep my ruler over top of the pin, I use a eraser. Any kind of an eraser will work. You can even put a pencil eraser on there. That keeps me from getting poked with the pin. Now I just have to rotate the ruler to be able to draw the circle. Now this ruler will draw circles. If I move my pen all the way to here, I could draw a circle as large as 46 inches. And that's great for tree skirts or dog beds or real contemporary quilts like the one that's behind me. So this quilt was done, the circle was drawn, I sewed all of the strips together, and then I cut a circle out of it, and this is the part that was removed from the body of the quilt. I inserted that into this aqua blue piece of fabric and then offset it and drew another circle and set it right back into the quilt. This pattern is available from your local independent quilt retailer. So your quick trim ruler will keep you from having to draw a line again anytime that you do a 45-degree angle seam. It'll draw circles for you, it'll sew your binding strips together, and help you piece your inner borders. And I really hope you enjoy using it.